Hello, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Hi, this is Prajakta. I would like to warmly welcome you all on behalf of NGEN Research. Meanwhile, others join. What we will really do is we'll introduce our topic for today. Our webinar topic for today is going to revolve around holding analysis for mutual funds. In holding analysis, we will check how to check the sector-wise as well as some stock-wise holding analysis for all the mutual funds. Now that is going to be subcategory wise as well as asset class wise. So we will see where exactly which section on NGEN market should we be targeting to understand this holding analysis. Next, if you want to look for all the detailed holdings of a particular fund and you want to download that for further reference, how can you do that and how can you actually download that? We will have a look at that as well. Next, we will see how we can actually download the daily NAV reports across all the categories of mutual funds and actually subscribe to those reports so that these get delivered on your email every single morning. Next, I'll just introduce you to the latest bug fixes or the updates that we have released. Finally, we will throw the forum open for a Q&A session wherein you can get your questions answered by either typing it in the chat box or directly unmuting yourself to speak. So let us now begin. So today for the webinar purpose, we'll focus on the funds section on NGEN Markets. So let me just take you there. As you know, the NGEN Markets as a terminal is divided into multiple tabs. For today's webinar, we'll be focusing on the Funds tab. You go to the Funds tab, you will see that a detailed screener appears across all of the categories of mutual funds. So if you want to search mutual funds from a particular category, screener is where you will default land on. But today we are focusing on the holding analysis of mutual funds, and therefore we will be directly heading over to the holding analysis tab, which is the third sub tab in the fund section. Okay, you click on that and you see a detailed red and green heat map kind of a chart for across sectors listed in front of you. How do you interpret this? So what does this really mean? So first of all, you will see that all the sectors are listed here, right? And then we have listed all the columns, which with respect to the years. So monthly breakup. So 31st August 2022 onwards till 31st of July 2023, right? It is left to right. Right. So the latest one will be on the right hand side. So if you want to have a look at the latest month's holdings across all the mutual funds per se, investing in any particular sector, the only thing that you really need to do is go to holding analysis and come to sector changes as a sub tab. And now let's say you want to see in pharmaceutics as a sector, what all are the mutual funds holding in this particular sector. We are talking about the entire universe of mutual funds. Okay, we are currently not categorizing that into okay, large cap, mid cap, small cap. No, all the equity asset class mutual funds. I want to see what is the percentage that they invest into pharmaceutics as a sector. So for that, just see the intersection of this particular row with the column under consideration. So we have these holdings updated as of 31st of July 2023. That's when the AMCs come up with the data. It's updated on a monthly basis. So we can see that, okay, in pharmaceutics as a sector, 8.12% is the holding across all the mutual funds as on 31st of July 2023. You click on this particular cell. So pretty much makes sense. All the pharma sectoral mutual funds will be holding higher percentage or the highest percentage into pharmaceutics as a sector. On the other hand, if you want to really have a look at as to which is the fund which holds the lowest, so that is by a Tata Quant fund. a Navi large and mid cap fund. So you want to do any analytics, just sort it as per the percentage, and you will see highest, which is the fund that highest has a highest allocation into pharma as a sector, and again sort it on a descending or ascending order. You will know which is the fund that holds the lowest as on a specific date. Now, how will you interpret these, heat maps or the color coding that is really made here? So you can typically see that in pharma as a sector, month on month, there has been a consistent increase by all the mutual funds taken together. Okay, so the last 28th February 2023, the percentage holding across all the mutual funds taken together in pharma as a sector was a 6.94%. After that, there has been a month on month increase. So a 7.13 is higher than a 6.94, and therefore it is anointed or color coded as green because it was an increase as compared to the previous month. Similarly, in this case, you can see that as of 30th of June 2023, the percentage of all the mutual funds investing into pharmaceutics as a sector was a 7.76. As compared to that, there was an increase that was made by all of these mutual funds taken together. And therefore, 8.12 is again color coded as a green, right? It just typically tells you what is the trend of mutual funds investing in particular sector. So you can check this for any other sector as well. Just scroll down and actually locate whichever sector that you're looking for. Let's say, for an example, steel. Right, in steel as a sector, we can see that there has been a consistent decrease from 31st of March 2023 till 31st of May 2023, right? So 2.41. After that, after May of 23, there has been a consistent increase for the last 2 months. So 30th of June 2023 as well as 31st of July 2023. There has been an increase in steel as a sector. Now, similar to this, we saw this for the entire equity as an asset class. Now you want to see that, okay, I want to see the trend of all the large cap funds, right? And I want to see only large cap as a subcategory in equity as a sector. So how will you filter funds on that basis? So for that, please note that here in equity, when we have chosen equity as an asset class, the total fund count is a 663. So the universe that we are targeting here is a 663 funds universe. Okay, total 663 funds. Now we will have a look at large cap as a subcategory. How will you put in a subcategory here? So you will see that just beside this check funds with asset class column, there is another column which says check funds with a SEBI category. So SEBI subcategory is the large cap that we want to target now. You will just click on that and you will see all the categories in equity asset class listed here. We want to check this for a large cap fund. So just choose large cap funds and you will see the number of counts reducing. So what that typically means is, okay, now the universe that you're really looking at is only a universe of 32 large cap funds only. It's not 632 or original funds that we were previously looking the analytics for. Right now, only large cap funds as a subcategory. What is their trend? So we can see that, okay, in pharmaceutics as a sector, large cap has actually reduced their weightage in this month as compared to the previous month. So therefore, 4.93% as on 30th of June 2023, and as of 31st of July 2023, it's a 4.92. And in large cap as a subcategory, which is the fund that is investing to the highest extent in pharma as a sector. For that, I just clicked on 4.92 as a cell. You just regular left click and you will see that, okay, DSP Top 100 Equity Fund is the large cap fund, which in fact has the highest exposure to pharma as a sector amongst all the large cap funds. All the large cap funds, on the other hand, hold a single digit number into pharma. Right. On the other hand, DSP Top 100 holds a 17.91% into pharma as a sector. Right. You can typically do this analysis for any particular sector of your choice and just follow through on the latest column. That will typically tell you as of the latest 31st of July, what are the percentage held into that particular sector. Right. Now you can also do this for stocks. Currently, we have seen this for sectors. You can also do this stock wise. So you want to see which are those particular stocks that all the mutual funds taken together as a whole are investing, right? For that, again, in holding analysis itself, the next tab talks about stock changes. When you go to stock changes, because we had chosen only large cap stocks, the current drop down is typically towards the large cap stocks only. So from equity as an asset class, in large cap stocks taken together, I mean, all the large cap stocks will be listed, and you can see, okay, in HDFC Bank as a stock, what all are the mutual funds that are currently investing into HDFC Bank. So for that, follow the same process. Head over to the intersection between 31st of July 2023 and the HDFC Bank, whichever stock for that matter you're looking. Locate that particular intersection cell and just click on that. So 9.26% is the overall exposure that across mutual funds have in HDFC Bank as a stock. And Mirai Asset Nifty Financial Services ETF holds the highest percentage into it. Because these are stocks, we also have the details of the shares and of course the amounts. So for an example, Mirai Asset Nifty Financials ETF as a mutual fund holds 32% of its AUM into HDFC Bank as a stock. How much does that come with respect to shares? Number of shares into HDFC Bank held, that come to 5,01,307 shares of HDFC Bank held by this particular fund. You can typically check this for any of the funds that are currently, there here, right? So for an example, SBI Banking and Financial Services as a fund, as a mutual fund, holds 15.95% of its AUM into HDFC Bank as a stock. And that amounts to now 696 crores. In terms of shares, it amounts to 42,13,920 shares. Now, if you want to have a look at highest to lowest shares, then just click on shares as a column heading and you will see, okay, SBI Nifty 50 ETF holds the highest number of shares of HDFC Bank, right? That's how robust you can actually check this holding analysis for any particular stock as well as sector. Now let's just see, if you just have a stock in mind and you do not want to scroll down and actually locate that the name of the stock here, there is a direct search box option also that's available. For that, you will just have to head over to equity holdings as a tab. When you go to equity holdings as a tab, you will see that you can just type in the name of the stock here. So in equity holdings, I will just type in the name of the stock that I want to, run this holding analysis for. And within seconds, this holding analysis will run for that particular stock. So let's say Aarti Drugs was a stock that was in talks because there was a buyback that was announced recently by the company, right? And you want to know that in this particular stock, what all are the mutual funds holding in this particular stock. Just locate that particular stock, search for it, and you can see, okay, DSP Healthcare Fund as a mutual fund holds 2.90% of its AUM into this particular stock. Okay, the entire fund's AUM is how much? 1,525 crores. Out of that, 2.90 comes to a 44.16 crore in terms of value, right? And that much is held into this particular stock. Now, whatever is appearing here after this particular really column, holding column, is actually the return performances of the respective funds. So in this case, DSP Healthcare Fund, we can see that the last 1 month performance of this particular fund is a 6.08% positive. Last 6 month performance of this particular fund is a 23.12% positive. Last 1 year performance is a 24.80%. So these statistics are related to a particular fund that is appearing here on the left hand side. These are respective to the funds. That was a holding analysis that you can actually quickly do on an individual stock. Now, what is the benefit of this holding analysis? In addition to actually understanding which is the sector that is really more inclined by all the mutual funds taken together, you can also follow a strategy like a contra strategy for that matter. So typically in as a category, contra mutual funds follow reverse strategy or a ulta strategy, right? Currently, which they see value in, or they are currently not really performing well, but they show potential, right? That's exactly what contra funds invest into. So if you quickly want to see, okay, which all are the funds which, as per the fund manager's expertise, are not currently doing well, but probably have a potential of doing that. So you can actually make inferences on stocks based on mutual fund analytics and holding analytics typically. And that is exactly why holding analytics are important. So for that, let's quickly have a look as to what all contra funds are currently trading in Indian equity markets, and what do their holding analytics looks like. So I just choose from the filter categories, I choose contra funds and I click on close. Okay, all the contra funds currently trading on Indian equity markets. So as we can see, currently only 3 contra funds really there, right? So SBI, Invesco and Kotak. Among them, if we just sort them as per the AUM, we can see that, okay, SBI Contra Fund is a fund that is attracting the highest AUM. And you want to see what is the holding pattern or what is the investment pattern of this particular fund, right? Just click on that and it will open in a new tab. You have to do a single left click. It will open like this in a new tab. It's a detailed fund analytics of this particular fund. Once you've opened it, of course, performance statistics with respect to their returns, risk profile, that is there, but that's definitely for another session. Today, we are only focusing on the holding analysis. For holding analysis, the only tab you should be targeting on is the asset allocation as a tab. When you go to asset allocation, you can see that, okay, this particular fund holds 88, holds exposure into 88 underlyings. Okay, these are 88 stocks that this particular fund holds into. And of course, this data is updated as of 31st of July, 2023. Now, we can see that, again, HDFC Bank as a stock, which belongs to large cap, it holds 3.48%. Right? Then ICICI Bank, Tech Mahindra, these are all its holdings of all of this entire fund taken together. Now you want to see, okay, which were the largest increases that were made by this particular fund as compared to the previous month. So what is exactly investment strategy of this particular fund? For that, directly click on position changes by month. And this will give you an overview as compared to the previous month. So previous month to 31st of July 2023 is, of course, 30th of June 2023. As compared to that month, what are the positions that were increased? So we can see that, okay, in general, this particular fund seems to be increasing positions on HDFC Bank as a stock. Right. Of course, this comes at the moment when there was a HDFC twins merger that was really taking place in the markets. Right, HDFC as a NBFC became HDFC Bank. Right, so this it could be a contribution, could be because of that news also. So certain critical news, how are they being handled by the efficient fund managers of these mutual funds? So we can have a look at the position changes. Now, as we can see, okay, the highest increase was in HDFC Bank. On the other hand, the largest decrease, of course, ignoring these trips, is into this particular stock called as Tech Mahindra. So there was a decrease that was made in this particular stock. On the other hand, were there any new positions that were really taken in by this particular fund manager as of 31st of July 2023? So for that, we can see, okay, in Federal Bank, there was a new position that was taken in. This wasn't there in the previous month. This was a new position that was entered by this particular fund, right? Max Financial, Geo Financial, HCL Technologies. These are the new positions that were taken in by this particular fund manager. On the other hand, these are the positions that were removed. So as you can see, HDFC Bank is a new position. HDFC, we were just talking about the merger, right? And therefore, that was a position that was removed as compared to the previous month, right? So this quick analysis you can definitely do. And this is, of course, as compared to the latest month. If you want to see this for a previous month, you can definitely click on this drop down, and we have the data for the last 12 months. So you can see from 31st of July 2022, month on month, we have this data till 31st of July 2023. Now, if you want to have a look at, okay, 30th of April 2023, right? Just click on this and you will see the latest positions or the increases or the decreases applicable for this particular fund, the changes that were made for the particular month under consideration. Okay, that's the position changes by month analysis. Now, similar to what we did previously for sectors or stocks, you can also do it on a single fund basis. Okay, month on month, what was the trend of this particular fund in investing in each of the stocks or sectors for that matter. So for that, you have to come to positions over time. When you come to positions over time, you will first of all have options to choose between. You want to see these positions over time changing by security. By security, we mean by stocks. So ICICI Bank, HDFC, HCL Technologies, by stocks or by sectors. Okay, you want to see this by security first, then just click on this toggle button and this will show you by security analysis change. Right now, when we are seeing this by security, there are again two facets to it. First, it could be a mark to market, because mark to market, decrease in positions could be because of mark to market, or it could be because of actual reduction in the positions as well. So how will you ensure that whatever you're seeing or whatever you're interpreting is it whether due to reduction in number of shares or just a mark to market losses or profits for that matter? So for that, there's a drop down here. In drop down, if you just choose shares in lakhs, you will actually see that, okay, in let's say for an example, this particular GAIL India as a stock, there was no particular increase in number of shares from 31st of May 2023. Right before that, of course, as of 30th of April 2023, 322 lakh shares were there in this particular stock. After that, of course, there was a slight increase, right? So 322 became 372. After that, it's just the same, right? There's no new shares that are purchased of this GAIL India as a stock by this particular fund. But if we just check this in percentage terms, we will see where does GAIL appear. So we can see, okay, 31st of May 2023, 3.69% was held. And now there's a reduction, 3.29%. Now we know that this is not a reduction due to, reducing position. So these are not shares sold. These are just because there was a mark-to-market loss that was booked, and therefore the reduction in position was because of that in GAIL India. So this is a detailed analysis that can be done on any particular stock that the mutual fund holds, right? You can just use this toggle button to do that. This typically is the position over time. Now, this was for security. If you want to check this by sector, you only have to toggle shift between by security to by sector. And when we come to by sector, all the sectors that are currently invested by this particular mutual fund will be listed on the left hand side, and you can see the trend. So again, the logic goes the same. So if you see this text is highlighted into green, that typically means that there was an increase in this particular sector as compared to the previous month. If it's a red color coded indication, that just means that was a month as compared to the previous month, it was a decrease in that particular sector. Okay, that's exactly what the red and the greens here mean. Next, you can actually see out of these total holdings. So as you can see, currently it has total 88 holdings. Out of these 88, how much do the top 10 contribute to the overall portfolio in terms of exposure? So if you want to check that, directly head over to concentration analysis. So we can see that out of these total 88, top 10 securities in this particular fund contribute to 30% of its portfolio, close to 30% of its portfolio. So now, tomorrow, if these top 10 perform well, the portfolios or the fund's likelihood of performing well increases manifold, because 30% of the exposure is coming from these top 10. Or of course, vice versa remains true. If these top 10 underperform, the likelihood of this particular overall mutual fund entire performance getting affected adversely are going to increase. So that is exactly what concentration analysis helps you in deducing. Right. So out of the total 88, or ultimately out of whatever is the total number of holdings, how much is coming from the top 3, top 5, top 10, and top 20, right? So that's the concentration analysis. Now you can also check this on the basis of their split into large cap, mid cap, small cap. So for that, specifically, there's a toggle button here. And because all of this is only checked as a percentage of equity, we will, from this drop down, choose as a percentage of equity exposure. So what does this mean? Now, out of the total equity exposure that this particular fund has, right, total 84, if that is considered as 100%, so what is the ultimate split between large, mid, and small of this 84 or 85% exposure in the fund's portfolio? So that is coming from, that is coming to an extent of 42% from large cap, 32% is coming from mid cap, and 24% is coming from small cap. That's how quickly you can have a look in terms of cost pie chart. How is this split coming from? Similarly, similarly to what we saw here in detail, we have the underlying equity sector wise exposure in terms of percentage here as well. This is just a quick overview. Okay, in banks as a sector, this particular fund holds the highest, 15.69%. And what are the underlying stocks in banks as a sector? Just click on this bar graph and you will know, okay, this 15.69, the split of it is like this: HDFC, ICICI, Axis, Equitas, Small Finance, Federal, so on and so forth. Any particular sectors from these top 10, you can quickly click on the bar graph and you can have the split of it. Okay, in cement as a sector, there's an exposure of a 4.88%. That is coming from, okay, ACC so much, Nuvoco Vista so much, Prism Johnson, so on and so forth. What percentage is coming from what particular stocks? That's the equity sector-wise analysis of mutual funds. Now, if this would have been a balanced advantage fund or a debt fund, we would have also gotten somewhere, some details for debt as well. So let me just quickly load in a balanced advantage fund and show you how even equity, similar to equity, we can also, run this analysis for debt. So for debt, what is going to really matter is the YTM, what is the average maturity, what are the credit ratings of the debt securities that the mutual fund holds, right? Those are all the important parameters for all the debt component in the mutual fund. So for that, let me just search in HDFC BAF. I click on this fund, it gets loaded in a new tab. And when you just click on it, it will get loaded in a new tab. And again, follow the same process. Go to asset allocation. First of all, we can see, okay, equity and debt, right? Equity works similarly. Now, if you want to see debt part of it, directly head over to this last part. And what you can really make out is, of this entire debt that this particular fund holds, how much is coming from sovereign rated debt securities? How much is coming from AAA rated securities? Right, this split is becomes very, very important, because that ultimately determines the credit quality, or ultimately what is the health of all the debt securities that it holds. So out of the total debt exposure that is there in this particular fund, 61% is a decent percentage coming from sovereign rated, and the balance is coming from AAA rated. So that way the credit health looks good. That's how you can check it for debt part of it. Now, in addition to these holding analysis, these basic holding analysis, what is also there with respect to BAF funds or arbitrage funds for that matter, which are known to hold some, hedge positions in their portfolio. So that can exactly be seen here. So if there are some short positions in the portfolios of these funds, we clearly highlight them using this red flag. Okay, there are 68 derivative positions that are undertaken by this particular fund, and they can be checked like this. So currently, overall position is a 60% into equity. But if you just untick this, right, that typically means, okay, now what percentage is ultimately underlying into equity? So that is exactly what is appearing here, right? If you want to just see these shorts, just click on these and you will know, okay, these are the short positions or the ultimate, derivative positions that are entered by this particular mutual fund as on this particular date. Typically, you load in any BAF fund, you will definitely see these in the portfolio, right? So you can have a look at these positions as well. That's a fund specific as well as the entire sector specific, stock specific holding analysis was what we just saw. Okay. Now, after all of the holding analysis, let me introduce some basic updates that were really released by NGEN Markets just this week. So we have made major changes in the portfolio analytics. Previous to this, we did not have position overlap in portfolio analysis. We have now introduced position overlap as the internal subtab in portfolio analytics itself. So now you need not go to the compare section to actually check portfolio or a position overlap. All you need to do is go to the portfolio section or the client section and load in any particular portfolio. So I'm loading in this particular portfolio. Once I load this, I can specifically see a detailed portfolio analytics getting open. And after this particular stats tab, we directly had this correlations tab. Correlation typically tells you what will be the NAV movements of the funds with each other, right? So how coordinated or how similar are the NAV movements. But along with correlation, it also gets important to see the overlaps, right? Position overlaps. That is exactly what is introduced here in the position in the portfolio analytics right here. Right. So you want to see, okay, with a correlation of between a Bandhan sterling value and a Motilal Oswal large and mid cap of a 0.80. What that means, if Bandhan sterling value is going up, Motilal Oswal 80% of the times it is catching up. But this 0.80 or a very, very high correlation is coming out of only a position overlap of a 15%. So ultimately, the common positions between these two funds are only a 15% common positions. Right? With just a 15% overlap, there's a correlation between these two funds of a 0.80, right? So in addition to correlation, you can also use position overlaps to ensure the diversification in the portfolio that is achieved or not. If you want to see which all are the positions or the underlying stocks which amount to these 15%, just click on this particular cell and you will know, okay, between these two funds, ICICI Bank is a common holding. Bandhan sterling value holds on to ICICI Bank to an extent of 4.50%. Motilal Oswal, a large and mid cap, holds on to ICICI Bank as a stock to an extent of 5.48%. Therefore, the minimum of the two is going to be the overlap percentage. The minimum of the two is a 4.58, and that's exactly what is the overlap that is highlighted here. And ultimately, if you just go on totaling that, that comes to 15%. That is exactly what is the position overlap that we have introduced here in the portfolio analytics. That was one change or the one addition that we had made. In addition to that, we've also incorporated benchmark comparative statistics along with the portfolio's comparative statistics. So previously, you could see here in performance statistics, only a single column or single row would have been there. Only the performance of your asset, meaning the portfolio. Right? So month to date performance of the portfolio, month to date, year to date performance of the portfolio only. So we had a lot of queries from our users to incorporate these benchmark numbers as well, just below the portfolio performance statistics. And therefore, we've introduced that as well now. So you can see, okay, month to date basis, quick overview. How has been the year so far for the portfolio as well as the benchmark? So quickly, what we can see is, okay, month to date, also the portfolio seems to be performing better than the benchmark. If we consider year to date typically means so January 2023 onwards till latest available closing prices. So 17th of August 2023. In the last year till today, the benchmark went up by a 7.16%. On the other hand, the portfolio as such went up by a 11.10%. So quickly, you can actually compare the statistics of the portfolio versus the benchmark. In addition to that, we have released a bug fix wherein if you would have exported a PDF previous to you upgrading to the 5.0 version, the benchmark statistics wouldn't be exported in the PDF. Okay, now we have released that as a bug fix. When you now click on the PDF option, download option, click on create PDF, we can see that a comparative column for the benchmark also appears just beside the portfolio. That becomes very, very crucial when you're actually highlighting the differences of, or actually comparing the portfolio performance against the benchmark. While analyzing, it's definitely there, but when you just take reports out of that, that did not come basically. That has now been fixed. You can definitely check the comparative statistics like this. Okay. These were definitely the major releases that were really made. As time goes by, we are also incorporating other releases like value at risk, Sortino ratio, up capture, down capture in the compare section. That has been a pending requirement. We are working on that. You will see those updates coming in the next coming weeks or so. Yeah. So that's about it from my side for this topic specific webinar and the updates on NGEN markets. If you have any questions, please ask. You can do so by either typing it in the chat box or directly unmuting yourself to speak. Thank you. So there's a question in the chat box which says, high ETFs are not large caps. Then why is it showing once you have chosen large caps? Okay, so I think by that you mean the fund section when we were just doing this holding analysis. 1 minute. So in the fund section, when I go on holding analysis, in stock changes, okay. So you mean why am I getting a ETF here? Okay, that's because these large cap stocks, whatever I'm choosing here, are the list of all the large cap stocks here, whatever appear here. Okay, whatever appear here from HDFC Bank till whatever we have, right, till house HDFC, right? These are all the large cap stocks. As per their market capitalization, and ultimately what all mutual funds across all categories invest in these particular stocks is exactly what we are targeting here. Here we are not differentiating whether it's a large cap, whether it's a small cap, whether it's a mid cap. That exact classification was available in the sector changes, right? In the sector changes, here is where we can specify. Okay, now we are only looking for the large cap funds. Now, whatever cell you click on, only the large cap funds will be included, not the ETFs or the others, right? Okay.
Any other questions, please let us know.
Yes, so there's a question in the chat box. Can we check any particular stock held by MF schemes? Of course. So for that, head over to equity holdings as a sub tab directly here. Just name the stock that you're looking for. Okay, you want to see for ITC for that matter. Just type in the name of the stock, click on that, and you will see an overview. First of all, it says, okay, 52,658 crore is being invested across 364 funds in ITC as a stock. Okay, and which are those funds? All of those are listed right here. They can be sorted multiple ways. First of all, if you want to sort them ascending, descending, by that I mean alphabetical wise, right? You can do that. If you want to alternatively do it as per their highest holdings. So I want to know that particular fund or that particular scheme name which holds the highest into ITC as a stock. So just sort them as per holding percentage. And you can see, okay, IPRU Nifty FMCG ETF holds 31.85% of its AUM into ITC as a stock. Okay, and that amounts to the AUM of the fund is a 93 crore, and therefore 31.85% of that comes to 29.57 crore, right? And after that are of course the performance statistics of this particular fund. Is this what you were trying to ask, or
Yeah,
is
Prajakta, just related to this, see,
yeah.
while we can search stock from here, I would like to further dig down into this, whether which fund has sold into this, and say like if you take an example of Nifty FMCG ETF, in last 6 or 7 months, whether they have increased the holding, actual holding they have increased or they have reduced that allocation.
Sure. So all you need to do is click on that particular name of the fund, right? When you click on that, it will get open in a new tab like this.
Okay.
Okay. Then just head over to position changes by month. Okay. You
Right.
can see that as of 31st of July 2023, ITC as a holding, it was increased by this particular fund, right? As compared to June of 2023. You want to
Okay.
check it for the last 5 months, 6 months, up to 12 months, you can definitely do that. Just go on positions over time. And because it's ITC that we are having a look at, and you want to check this on the basis of shares in lakhs, click on the drop down shares in lakhs, and we can see, okay. As of 31st of March 2023, 6.10 lakh shares were held by this particular fund into ITC, right? There was an increase in that 6.11. There was an increase in the number of shares as of 30th of April. After that, till in May, there was no increase as to the shares, right? Now, as of 30th of June, some shares were sold. And that's the reason you can see this in red. And you can also see this number reducing from 6.11. It has reduced to 6.08. And mind you, these are number of shares. So these are actually positions exited, right? And not just because of mark to market.
Okay.
Right? And then again, as of 31st of July 2023, that's the latest month, there's again an increase in the shares, right? And therefore, that comes to now 6.35 lakh shares held by this particular fund into ITC as a stock.
Very well. In percentage term, it will reflect some different picture because it
Of
may be
course.
due to the pricing.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Just click on percentage and you can see, okay, this will definitely change, right?
Yeah. Got it. Thank you so much.
No problem. So there's one more question in the chat box which says, when the AMC-wise stock changes are expected? Okay. AMC-wise stock changes, I mean, we currently have it on the basis of sectors or direct names of mutual funds only, not on the basis of AMC. But if that's a requirement, we can just note this down and we can work out if that is something that we can come up with. There's another question in the chat box which says, can we get all MF holdings of ITC equity stock historical data in one click? Can we get all MF? Okay. So again, same, follow the same process. So go to equity holdings, just search ITC is exactly what we've done right now, and just click on download table. That's it. So you will get a list of all the funds. I'll just show you how that will look like. So I hope my Excel is visible, and I will just show you. This is how it will look like. So these are all the mutual funds which invest in ITC as a stock as of 31st of July 2023. Everything, whatever you saw on the screen has now gotten exported into Excel, right? Their holding percentage. So in this case, Nippon India Nifty 50 Value 20 Index Fund holds 14% into ITC, right? That comes to 52 crore with respect to its funds. Fund AUM is 352, and therefore that comes to 52 crore, right? And this 1 month, 6 month, and 1 year are the performances of this particular fund in these respective time periods. So in the last 1 month, the fund went down by a 2.11%. In the last 6 months, the fund went up by a 6.89%. Last 1 year, the fund went up by a 11.66%. You can definitely take a dump of all of this that seamlessly gets downloaded into Excel. I hope this clarifies your query. Yeah, so there's a question or a suggestion in the chat box which says, please add 3, 5, and 10 years performance also. It shows until 1 year. Yeah, that's right. So, okay, we will see if we can incorporate 3-year, 5-year, and 10-year also the performance here. But I mean, it's just a roundabout way. If you want to check for this particular fund, and it's 1 year, performance more than 3 years older, just go to the compare section and add this particular fund. So IPRU Nifty FMCG ETF, right? So just search for this fund. You will add it here, and you will see all the return numbers, right? So it's a 2.04-year-old fund, right? And okay, so if it would have been an older fund, you would have definitely seen all of these numbers. So it's not like we do not have data. It's just that because of space constraint and because it's a holding analysis that ultimately we are discussing here, that's the reason we have kept it restricted to 1 year, till 1 year, 1 month, 6 month, and 1 year. You can definitely check the performances of these funds after loading it in the compare section like this. Okay, thank you. There seem to be no more questions. So thank you so much for joining in. You can definitely have a look at all the past webinar recordings from our on our YouTube channel. For that, just click on YouTube, and internal link is there. You can just click on that. It will take you to our YouTube channel, and we have created a dedicated playlist for all the webinars. Right? You can just click on this 77 webinar videos already uploaded. You can definitely have a look at those. This week's webinar video will also be uploaded on our YouTube channel by next week Thursday. So do stay tuned, and we will definitely come up with a new and more exciting topic for the next week's webinar. Till then, thank you so much, and have a great weekend ahead. Thank you.